Hey guys, Brandon here, Century 21. What is a low ball offer? So it's very subjective. It depends. It depends on the situation. And why it's subjective is because there's a lot of variables that kind of come into play in terms of knowing what would be the best price to offer on a home. And if you're working with a real estate agent, obviously seek their advice. If I'm helping a client select a price, ultimately it's up to them, not up to me. And when I'm giving that advice, it's based on a lot of variables that may apply, like if the seller's already bought rented their next home, if the home that's for sale is currently vacant, if the market value of the home is higher than the price they're asking or lower, if they're holding off on offers, what's the current days on market, have they had a lot of showings, what's the feedback like. So there's a lot of different things that kind of go into it, even asking the agent too if there's any flexibility on the price or they're pretty firm, just trying to kind of see their cards and maybe what signs of motivation that I can get from the other agent about the seller's situation to then take that to advise my buyer on what price I think would be best given all of that information. So basically just saying like what's a low ball offer, it just really depends. But to generalize things, most houses sell for about 2% below the asking price. That's right now. It's called the list to sale price ratio. So knowing that and knowing that most negotiations usually go back and forth 3 times, maybe 4, and knowing where you want to end on price, you should know where you want to start if you're going to go back and forth that 1, 2, 3, 4 times to end at a number. So if most houses sell for 2% less, then I would say you don't want to probably start at 2% under the asking price. Obviously, all the other variables too that come into the mix here. You want to start even less. So a low ball offer, really, the definition, in my opinion, just my own opinion on this, would be lower than what would be basically that range I would give. Because if I'm helping a buyer, I want them to get the lowest price for a house. So there's this kind of optimal range based on all that information to be like, here's what I think is best to start at. Up to you. Your own motivation now as the buyer, where you want to be in that range, or you can be above or below that altogether. It's totally up to you. So if you're lower than that, that's probably a low ball offer, probably because maybe not. Maybe the seller will be fine with it. You don't want to offend them in the sense that they don't even want to negotiate with you, because then you're just not even able to get them to counter an offer back to you. And ultimately, if you're trying to get the house, you need an acceptance in place. So it's a two-way street there. And so if you go too low, that would be like a low ball offer. So just to kind of really generalize it for you, I would say if you're starting at 3-4% below the asking price to end at 2 on most houses, probably reasonable. Once you get to 5% or less, I would say in most cases that's probably like a low ball offer. So if a house is $500,000, 5% is 25 grand. So that'd be like 475. To me, that's actually probably not. I would probably say more like 6-7% then is probably a low ball offer. So around like 460 or less, probably. Again, so many variables that come into play. And ultimately, it's obviously up to the buyer in terms of what price they want to do on a house. Market value, your own motivation, all those variables about the seller's motivation that I can try to get to then give you advice on, the market value of the home, etc. So hard to say. Obviously, percentages scale. So like $1 million is not going to be 25 grand. It'd be a lot more than that because 5% is of a greater number at a million than it would be at 500,000. So I don't know. I would say like 6-7% is probably a low ball offer on most houses. So 6 or 7% below the asking price to give a more simple answer to that. So hopefully that helps. I've had people ask that before, what would be considered like a low ball offer? It's just hard to kind of say, but I think probably something like that, 6 or 7% or even less as a starting number that you're going to give to a seller, probably a low ball offer if I had to say. Hope that helps.